Hello, guys. Welcome to another exciting episode on Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. Today's guest is Kirana Sidin, author of Cheers for a Good Life, certified life coach, speaker, and mother of 5, who is passionate about helping people understand what it truly means to create a fulfilling life. Based in Jakarta, Indonesia, Kirana explores the intersection of philosophy, psychology, and everyday experiences to transform timeless wisdom into practical tools for modern living. Our work is built around a powerful belief. A good life is not something we simply discover. It is something we intentionally create through the choices we make every day. Today, we explore how to live with more purpose, build meaningful relationships, and make better decisions, and create a life that reflects what truly matters. Kirana, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Hi, Darlington. Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here. Thank you for your great introduction. And I also want to say that I really love your podcast name, On Control or Be Control, correct? Because
Control.
yeah, that's the idea that I like to ask every day for myself, being on control or be control. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. I get that a lot.
Yes.
I don't know. I think I have the best podcast name out there right now.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
We talk about good life,
Yeah.
and good life. What does it really mean to live a good life? How will I live and on my deathbed I will say I have lived a good life in today's world?
Okay. Okay. I think most of us are chasing the wrong finish line. Okay. We treat a good life as something that starts later, after the dream job lands, probably, or after the relationship finally settles, or after the chaos dies down. But I've come to think that's backwards. A good life isn't a finish line at all. It's assembled in a real time out of whatever ordinary materials we already happen to holding. That's actually the reasoning behind my book's title. Okay, cheers for a good life, not cheers to a good life. Two to itself is a toast raised toward the horizon, towards something we're still hoping shows up. And the contrary, for, the word for, is a toast raised at the table we're already sitting at. I'm not celebrating some future version of myself now. I'm celebrating the one I'm currently living, mass included. Okay, and then there's a Greek word I keep circling back to, keep coming back to. It's called eudaimonia. Most people translate it as happiness, but I think that is not quietly correct. Okay, it's closer to flourishing life, and the distinction matters because happiness behaves like weather. It blows in when something good happens, and it blows right back uh, out once that things end. So eudaimonia isn't weather. It's closer to the climate running underneath our entire life, steady, no matter what the day's forecast says. Okay. Okay. Let me put that in a different, more concrete picture. Let's picture someone going through a genuinely rough stretch. Okay. A scary diagnosis probably, or financial ground shifting under them, a loss they can't yet put into words. That person can still be living a good life inside all of that, as long as their choices still feel like their own, as long as they haven't quietly walked away from who they are just because the terrain got difficult. That kind of steadiness doesn't vanish the moment the hard season ends because it was never propped up on top the good days in the first place. It was already the ground those days were standing on. And it runs the other direction too. Someone can look flawless from the outside, okay? A great job, beautiful vacation photos, laughing at every dinner, and still not actually be living a good life. If none of it connects to anything underneath, if they're just hopping from one pleasant surface to the next, and then with nothing stitching it together, that took me a long time to actually understand. It's not about whether today felt good. It's about what's quietly under construction the entire time on the good days and the hard ones alike. I like to think it's like a well-tended garden. It doesn't need to be elaborate to be good. It just needs steady attention, patience, and someone worth walking through with it. That's really the whole idea as far as I'm concerned. It's not a formula, not a checklist, just paying enough attention to the ordinary days that eventually you notice they've been building something the entire time.
All right. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful answer. We are not going
Thank
to wait to
you.
start living the good life. We can start
Mhm.
living good life now. Okay. So, tell us, what kind of life are we actually trying to build? And why do so many people struggle to define it for themselves?
Okay. So, uh, why so many people like hard to get the good life? Yeah, because I don't believe like circumstances are unimportant. Yeah, they shape us in many ways. We don't choose where we're born, the family we grow up in, the opportunities we're given, or a lot of the challenges we face. But that kind of life are moments. Okay, choices are habits. Okay, and even a circumstance may happen once, but our response to it becomes pattern, and over time, those pattern becomes our character, our relationship, our work, and eventually our lives. Here's what a small example of what I mean. Yeah, something that repeated often enough that I actually noticed the pattern. For years, whenever something in my business or my family life didn't go to the way I'd planned, my first instinct was the same: get busy fixing it immediately before I haven't fully understood what had happened. That instinct felt like responsibility. It wasn't really. It was anxiety wearing a productive costume, okay? The circumstance itself, a difficult client, a slow month, a hard week at home, only happened once each time. But my response to it, that immediate scramble happened over and over until it wasn't really a reaction anymore. It was just how I operated. So what eventually change wasn't the circumstances. They kept coming the same way they always had. What changed was that I started choosing a different first move, pausing before reacting, asking what actually needed my attention versus what just felt urgent. So that one small adjustment repeated enough times become completely a different pattern. Not because this situation got easier, no, because my response to them did. Looking back at my own journey more broadly, I didn't choose every circumstance. I didn't choose how competitive my business became or every challenge that followed it. But I did choose to leave a job that no longer aligned with what with I value, choose to start off or choose to start over after feeling stuck. I choose to keep writing, and eventually to start coaching. None of those individual choices changed my life overnight, okay? But together, repeated enough time, they changed the entire direction of my life. That's why I believe a good life is rarely built through one big decision. It's built through hundreds of international choices that over time quietly become the life you're actually living. Yeah.
Okay. So, what can timeless wisdom from philosophy and psychology teach us about navigating modern challenges?
Okay. I think philosophy gives us wisdom and psychology gives us understanding. One asks, how should we live? The other asks, why do we think, feel, and behave the way we do. I don't think we need to choose between them together. Yeah, they actually help us make better decisions. The challenge is that both of them can stay pretty theoretical if you're not careful. Okay, what really interests me is the translation. How does Stoicism, on my case, I like Stoicism, yeah, the philosophy that I keep coming back to, and then also become the idea behind my book. Okay, um, how does Stoicism actually help me respond when a business fail? Or how does psychology help me become a better parent? How does self-respect change the way I set boundaries? Okay, let me give you a simple example of what that translation looks like in practice. Okay, say a client comes to me because their business has hit a rough patch. Probably sales have dropped, a deal fell through, and they're overwhelmed, completely convinced they failed. Psychology is what helps us understand what's actually happening underneath that. Maybe this whole situation trigger an old belief that their worth depends on their success. And suddenly it's not really about declining sales anymore. It's about identity. That awareness matters genuinely, but awareness on its own doesn't tell you what to actually do next. Okay, that's where philosophy steps in. Stoicism asks a very practical question: what's actually within your control right now? So that's why I love the name of your podcast, Darlington. Okay. You can control the economy. You can control what the client decides. Okay. You definitely can't control yesterday, but you can control the next phone call you make, the next proposal you send, probably the next conversation you will have. So basically, psychology helps us understand why we're stuck, and philosophy is what actually gets us moving again. Even while we're still a little imperfect, still a little second, maybe, we just need both. One without the other only gets us halfway there. That's really the work I love, taking timeless wisdom and translating it into something usable in ordinary life. Because our lives don't actually change just from what we understand. It's not. They change from what we keep practicing over and over. Okay? That's philosophy and psychology in the modern living.
So you are saying that our lives actually change from repetition, not just by
Yes.
what we understand.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
It's
So
like compound,
how
it's like compound. The repetition will compound, and then in the end, it will become the life that you build. It become the life that important to you, and it become something that really matters to you because of the repetition, the habit that you repeat, and then it will compound in the end of the day.
okay, so how can we make better decisions when life feels uncertain or overwhelming?
Okay, how we can make a better decision when the life is not certain. Okay, so I think the easiest thing for us is just to pause. Okay, just pause for a while and then ask ourselves this bigger question. Okay, we feel this is not a certain, or we feel that we going nowhere. Yeah, whatever the condition is, the circumstances is. Okay, but we have to sit down, and then we have to ask ourselves this bigger question: what is the most important to me? Okay, is it your work? Is it your family? Is it your value, or anything that feels important to you. And then what is that truly matters to me? Okay, the same with the important. Yeah, what is truly matters to me? And then by that, you will find the answer on yourself because you already reflected and asked that question. Yeah, and then become intentional to what you choose after this, okay? After you already had the vision or you already have the uh, answer about what really matters to you, what's important to you, okay? On or what we really control or not, or beyond our control. It's also important to know what's within our control and beyond our control, because we cannot force something that is not within our control. What is within our control? It's like our behavior, our response, our character. That's within our control. What is beyond our control? It's the things outside the everything that I said before about within the control. So by knowing this, yes, something that beyond your control, so you only can depends, yeah, you can rely on yourself. Okay, so what is does mean it to be what's the true matters for you? Okay, what's important? What's the really important for you? And then after that, you can very intentional to what you choose. Okay, the decision that you make become intentional. It feels you're not like living autopilot. Okay, you choose something that really something that you choose intentionally. And then this is not, and I believe this is not only one in just one in a week, just one in a month, or even after like one in a year. No, it you have to do this every day, day by day, one intentional choice at a time. So by that, the life that happened to you is something that really the you get the will back to your life. Okay, you can actually say that this is the life that I want. This is the life that I want to build. This is probably in 10 and 20 years again. And then I saw myself, this is the life that I'm truly proud of, that I already built it, this life. That's the reason for me. Okay.
Okay, so how can people discover purpose in ordinary things that they do?
Yeah, just like I told you before, okay? Wait, I'm just like, sorry, what's again? Purpose, yeah. How to find purpose in the daily life. Okay, so I don't think purpose gets found in the middle of noise in this modern life, daily life, the full of distraction like nowadays, okay? I think it actually gets buried by it, which means the answer isn't to search harder, it's to get quiet enough to hear what's already trying to get your attention. Okay? I think that's the real reason purpose feels so elusive right now. Not because people lack purpose, but because our attention is so fragmented. We never still we never sit still long enough to hear it. Okay? We have to like really to hear underneath it. Okay, every notification, every headline, every algorithm is answering the same question for us. So what should I pay attention to next? Okay, so purpose asks something completely different. What deserve my attention? Those aren't the same question at all. Distraction pulls us toward whatever's urgent or stimulating right now. Purpose pulls us much more quietly toward what's actually meaningful, even when it's not exciting or immediately rewarding. Okay, that's why I think stillness itself, yeah, to find the purpose on yourself, isn't a luxury. It's a discipline. So that's why before I told you it has to be done day by day. Okay, and I think it's gotten harder because a lot of us have learned to feel guilty the second we're not visibly doing something, correct? I know I did. If I sat down with nothing to do, yeah, some part of me will immediately start listing everything I should be doing instead. This is the message I hadn't replied to, the thing might get mentioned last week that I still hadn't dealt with, something like that. Doing nothing genuinely felt harder than staying busy, correct? So busyness gets social approval. Stillness almost never does. But stillness isn't the absence of productivity. It's where clarity actually starts. Okay? There's one more misconception I think keeps people stuck, and it's the order we assume things happen in. We think we have to discover our purpose first, okay, and then we'll start living intentionally. I think it's actually the reverse, okay? Purpose gets clearer because we start living intentionally, not before, okay? The quiet doesn't hand us a finished purpose sitting there complete. It gives us something smaller and honestly more useful. A question, a direction, a pattern we hadn't noticed before. What we do with that is up to you after you already found it, okay? So if we're looking for purpose in a distracted life, this modern life, I wouldn't tell you to search harder. I'd tell you to protect your attention, make space for actual silence, notice what keeps coming back to you when the noise finally clears, and then have the courage to build something around it. Because I believe once again, purpose isn't discovered, it's created. One intentional choice, one ordinary day, one act of paying attention at a time.
All right, thank you so much, Kirana. Thank you for sharing your wisdom
Yes,
and reminding us
thank you so much.
that a meaningful life is not built through one decision, but through the small choices we make every single day. The message shows that living well is not about chasing perfection. It's about being
Mhm.
intentional, staying curious, and creating a life aligned with what truly matters. So, for those who would like to connect
Yes.
with you and learn more about your work, how can they do that?
Okay. Uh, the the most easiest way to connect with me through my website, cheersforthegoodlife.com. It's my home basis for all of the works that I've done. It's like you can find my books over there, Cheers for a Good Life, and also my coaching and also my writing. You can find my raw writing over there, yeah, raw thoughts, and then honest take, or probably the conversation. You can join the conversation in my website, Cheers for the Good Life, and also you can connect with me through the Instagram at Kirana Sidin. Thank you, Darlington.
All right, Grana, thank you so much. And thank you to all my listeners for tuning in today. As always, you guys are the reason why we do this every day. And do have a wonderful day ahead, Kirana.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for